Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. Today I'm going to do a top 10 list of top 10 Overrealm cards. I meant to do this like months ago to kind of celebrate, Overrealm cards being around for like a year, but I just kind of got busy with set 6 and all that kind of stuff. So today, here it is. This is a lot harder of a list than I thought it was going to be. There's actually such a lot of good Overrealm cards, even though there's like, comparatively to other cards, there's not like a lot of them, but there's a really good amount of lists, and Overwhelm cards are really good at just being tech cards in general and just being able to be just counter certain archetypes and that kind of stuff. But yeah, they've been really cool since release. They've kind of been a little bit nerfed just with all the sparking and that kind of stuff, making it kind of tempting to not play Overwhelm. And of course, you really can't play Overwhelm in Shenron leaders. As long as you want the seventh wish, you can still do it, but like. You're just discouraged with a lot of different, other tempting effects because of it. So, but I still think it has a lot of potential and still sees a lot of play. But mostly just you choose one or two that you want for tech and that kind of stuff and playing. But without further ado, let's get into the list. Number 10. For number 10, we've got Bartok Fully Unleashed. This card is, he's pretty good for the current meta. I don't think he really saw play before that. This was given out during the championship pack of last year, but what it does is it's Overwhelm for 5. When you play this card using Overwhelm, choose all of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 6 or more and send them to the warp. So that can be pretty good against Broly, which just gets out these big 6 drops and stuff, but it can see some niche play in other decks. Just some really generic removal, and then he's got like just a big 25k body for free. So like that isn't even like a bad thing. To worst case, he's just a free 25k. That's pretty strong. So yeah, it can be really good, but just kind of lackluster. But that's why he's not number 10. Number 9. Next, we've got Foosung Mystery. I really like this card, so I might be a bit biased, but he can be really good. Games aren't really getting to turn 6 as much anymore, or like that. But when like SS3 was around, and when like ramping decks were kind of popular, this could be just a really good finisher. Just turn 6, you play this. It's a big 30k double strike, but also like your opponent can't do anything for the next your turn and their turn, so that can be really good at shutting them down. And then kind of against, I've seen it being played against decks like Janemba, where they don't kill you fast, they just kind of control the game, and so you just play this on turn 6. You'll have tons of cards in drop, and then also they won't be able to play any of their beans, their negates, their super combos, so still a really good card, and it can just be a really good like alternate win condition, that kind of stuff, but right now it's not seeing a lot of play because of Super Shenron and being pretty dead against that matchup. But I can see it coming back potentially if Mill becomes really powerful, Super Shenron gets nerfed, that kind of thing. So really cool card. Number 8. The first Trunks card on this list, spoilers, is Trunks Power Overseeing Time. So this is one of the first Overwhelm cards that were released, and so it is an Overwhelm for 4 with a cost of 2. It's a 20k double strike, which is really nice. But also when you play this card using Overwhelm, choose up to 1 battle card in your warp and add it to your hand. So this card is really good in like the Mecha Frieza format, because you could just play this and then you get a free Shugesh, and then you can use the Shugesh to untap 2 energy. So just free plays, and it's also a Saiyan, so it could be looked, and a 4-drop Saiyan no less, so it can be found through Planet Vegeta. This card just had a lot of synergy when it first came out. Now that this card is it's kind of been creeped out just because it's a 2 cost, and Shugesh isn't as valuable and that kind of stuff. There's not as much like free battle cards that are tempting to get with this, but it still can be really good. And in decks like once again, I mentioned Mill last card, but this card can be good against Mill because they just mill so much, and so you pretty much get to search half your deck with this card, just because there's so much card that are milled. But with the advent of like not needing, like with sparking, this kind of got power creeped away just because it wasn't worth it as much, but it still can be really good, and I still see it getting played every now and again. So cool card. Number 7. All right, for number 7 we have Time Patrol Trunks. He was part of the first expansion set for this keyword, and he was one of the best right out the gate. Really, people were trying their best to run for this card. This was just free value, and in a time when there was no sparking or anything like that, this card was just super good. Yeah, it's just pretty much like a free draw 1, right? Because you just overwhelm 3 for 1. And then also, what it really does is you look at 2 cards from your deck, choose up to one of them, add them to your hand, then place the remaining cards to the bottom or top of your deck in any order. So that's just really good. And then also it's a 15k attack, and so yeah, it just gets you a draw, sets up your next draw, to be honest, and just has a lot of things. And once again, it's Saiyan, so it could be found from like Planet Vegeta, which is really helpful in a lot of ways too. And just a lot of stuff. Really good card. It's kind of been competitive creeped out now, just because once again sparking has shut down a lot of these like just degenerate overwhelm decks, just because you really want to play sparking as well. But still a really good card. And if you find space and you got space for it, this is a really good card. It's also an Earthling, so I know in Pandex this card's desirable, just because you can use everybody's Pal Yamcha to find it, and then that kind of stuff. And it's also 15k, so Pan can boost it, gets 20k, get the card draw, that kind of stuff. So still a relevant card, but not as relevant as it used to be. Number 6. All right, yes, another another Trunks. This one is Dimensional Support Trunks. So it's an Overwhelm 3 for 1 cost. When you play this card using Overwhelm, choose up to 1 skillless card from your deck with energy cost 2 or less, and play it, and then shuffle. Then it gains critical for the duration of the turn. So this is just a really good value card. So for 1 energy, you get 2 bodies out, and one of them is a crit. And more recently, you see it in like the skillless build, so you get a big 20k crit for 1 energy too, right? So that's really good value. And then you still have Dimension Support Trunks. So once again, a little bit niche to having skillless cards, but this card is really good. And even before the skillless, people were running the famous Shu variant of this, where they just get the 15k Shu and like the Go 10s and stuff. And so it was seeing a lot of play, just because it was a lot of pressure and could be a lot of value that way. So really fun card, and kind of sneak peeked the skillless archetype for a while, and I still think it is really good in that archetype. So good card. Number 5. All right, next up we have Dimensional Banisher Fu. This is a really generic removal card that's really good in the just in a lot of decks. So it's an Overwhelm 5 for 1 energy, double strike. So when you play this card with Overwhelm, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, send it to their warp. Also, this card sends to the warp, not KOs it, which is really important for some cards. Some need to specifically be destroyed, and just because it warps it, they can't activate their effects because of that. So that's really good. It's just been really generic removal for a really long time, and it's just good for destroying their opponent's really big cards. So really good. I feel like I'm using really too much, but he can just do a lot of things and be really flexible. So he's seen a lot of sideboards, and in formats, once again, like Broly right now, it's a good card against that, because you can just remove their Broly for 1 energy, and then they're like, oh, I have to discard 3 cards or what have you, or at least make sure they have the chain. So because if they have the 8-drop Broly out, then you can just play this card, and then they can't chain anymore. So that's good, and yeah, that's about it. So let's go to the next card. Number 4. All right, next up for number 4, we have a tie between the Dark Temptation Toa and the Supreme Kai of Time Light Sky. They pretty much do pretty similar things, and they've both been pretty much as relevant. But pretty much what they're doing is, so both of these are restricted to the color of their leader, and then also have an effect. So both of them Overwhelm for 3. The Toa one, when you play this card using Overwhelm, if your leader card is green or yellow, choose one of your leader cards and gains plus 5k power for duration of the turn, and your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and places it in the drop. And Supreme Kai of Time, similarly, is if your leader card is red or blue, choose one of your leader cards, gain plus 5k power for duration of the turn, then draw 1 card. So this card's really good. It can be really flexible, especially like if you look at Supreme Kai of Time, it can be kind of like a pseudo combo in the sense of that you play this for 0, you get you draw 1 card, you give your leader plus 5k, and then you can combo with it. So at the end of the day, you paid no energy to get plus 10k and a lead and a draw card. So that can be really good. It's, you know, only works offensively, but it does gain a lot of value in that way. Or if you just need to swing at something, there's that as well. And similar thing to Dark Temptation Toa. It's just the same thing as a like an Android 13 super combo, in the sense, once again, you can get up to 10k power to your leader just with this card, and then also you have to make your opponent drop a card. So that's really good. If I had to choose one that is better, I'd probably say Toa is a little bit better, just because I think Toa is better in like hand control. Like you see this in slug decks, just because it can be really oppressive, and you can give your leader plus 5k, which is good if he has critical too. So if he's unawakened, you can have a 15k crit coming in after already dropping a card. So that can be good. And yeah, both these I think these were both released at the same time. So because they're from the promotion pack. So both these are really good and kind of do different things, but I felt like they were really similar power levels. So that's why I put them at number 4. Yeah, number 4. Number 3. All right, we're in the top 3. We're getting to the real big bad boys. So we've got Hayden, the Mysterious Warrior. This was like the first one released, and he's been good ever since. And that's kind of what Bandai does when they release cards. They kind of make when they make a new archetype or something, like new skill set or something. They kind of make 1 or 2 that are kind of overtuned, that kind of exist for the remainder. You can think of that like how like Shenron was the first Wish leader, and he's like really good and still being used. And like the swap stuff, like Bartok was one of the first swap cards, and it's still really good. So Hayden, I feel like, is the overwhelm version of that, just because he's been pretty much relevant since. So he's an overwhelm for 5 and for 1 energy. It has double strike, and when you play this card using overwhelm, choose any number of your opponent's battle cards without blocker for which the total cost adds up to 5, and send it to the warp. So really good at just clearing boards for 1 energy. If you can afford to overwhelm cards, this card's great for that. Not only is it removal, but it sends it to the warp, which is important for a couple cards, but also, and right now it can be really good against, like Skillless Goku can be bodied by this, just because they have like usually a bunch of small swarms, and it can just be really good against those kind of decks. Like against veggies, this was really good, just because you could just destroy 2 or 3 of their veggie cards. And yeah, if they have like 2 drop Kabas, in active mode, like they can't swing at them, they're safe. You can just play Mass Saiyan and destroy both of them, and that feels really good a lot of the time. So just a really strong card, and just the fact that it's also a double strike 20k for 1. I've seen a lot of games just stolen just because you can get double strike for 2 like that on a big body. So super good card. As long as overwhelm's relevant, this card's going to be relevant, and yeah, just still good. Number 2. All right, for spot number 2, we've got Scientist Fu. You like that little rhyme? Yeah, so this card is great in a lot of ways. I remember the first time I saw it, I was playing in a tournament, and this was like exactly after set 3 came out, and so people are already had this card just because they got like a bunch of tournament boosters or whatever, and I saw this, I'm like, man, this card is dumb. I need as many of these as I can. So it's an overwhelm for 7, which is kind of steep, and 1, but it's a double strike 25k, which is already great. But also, when you play this card with overwhelm, you draw 2 cards. So the fact that you get to draw 2 cards for 1 energy is already insane in this game. So you already get a +1, but also you get a big 25k body that can double strike and finish the game. That's just absurd. So this quickly became one of the best finishers in the game. It's still a great finisher, to be honest. Just the fact that it is once again a big body for nothing, and you get to get card advantage and that kind of stuff. Like it's really good for aggro decks finishing. The only thing is, like, it can still be clunky in hand if you don't. If you get it too early, but still a really good card. And I think this is just, I still think it's kind of overpowered, just the fact you get so much for 1 energy, but yeah, it's still good. Number 1. And for number 1, we've got, wait, what's this guy doing here? It's Dark Overwhelm. That's a totally different thing. He can't be number 1. Ah, there we go. Mira. Okay. So this card is dumb. This is a really dumb card. And so I actually had a hard time thinking if Mira or Scientist Fu deserved number 1 spot. And I felt like Mira deserved number 1 spot just because he's broken. And they should have fixed it and made it different, but they didn't. And so here we are. So He's a 30k overwhelm for one, overwhelm for one with deflect, which is great. I think gets oversight a lot. He can't get like Crusher Bolt or anything, but. So the way you're supposed to play this card is that when you play this card using Union, your opponent chooses 3 cards from their hands into their warp, and this card gains double strike for the remainder of the turn. So you're supposed to play this with there's kind of like kind of like the Cell Chain, but with Mira and Toa, you have like this 3-drop that goes into this card. But yeah, that doesn't matter because for whatever reason they also gave it overwhelm 4 for 1, and the more important effect is that when this card attacks, this card gains plus 5k power for duration. Or for each card in your warp, which is just insane. And so already when you play this card, assuming you're overwhelm 4, it's a 50k for one. And it's like, oh, you can get double strike if you play it the right way, but we also have like East Kai and Champa. So this is just like one of the best finishers in the game. It pretty much tells your opponent, hey, do you have a negate? Because if you don't, then I win. And a lot of times right now, your opponent will be just at 1 life and no energy, and you can just play Mira and win, right? They can't use sparking stuff to negate the attacks and stuff. So just a really good, and even if you are just fishing out for a counter, it's like the best card to do it because I've never seen anyone out combo this guy. Like it's always been absurdly, it's high at like 100k plus, and then they just give it double strike with Champa, and then you're like, oh cool, I just gave you two life. So. Yeah, just broken. I wish it wasn't an overwhelm 4 for 1. I don't know why they added that to it, just for flavor. I don't know. It seems like it was a mistake that they never went back on, but still a great card. What was it? Oh, sorry. There's something else. There was something that different. This card got eroded, but I don't remember what it was. I think it's supposed to say when this card attacks, this gains plus 5k power for each card in your warp for the duration of the turn. But yeah, I don't remember. It was really minor, but the fact that it goes away at the end of the turn anyway, so it's not a big deal. But just a really big old beat stick, the biggest beat stick that we have in the game right now, and just has ended countless games. Just the fact that it exists. So. That's going to be the list for me. Let me know what you guys think. It was actually, once again, really hard to order these guys, but I think I got the best 10. Let me know if I missed out on one of the overwhelmed cards that deserve to be on this list. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.